Flory Models Daily Show. Here we are on Thursday the 14th of July 2016. Today's been one of those days, been absolute chaos. This morning I was phone calls, a meeting and all the bits and pieces, and then running through with everything, and you're sort of chasing your tail right the way through, and then right in the middle of it, Mel turns around and says, can you put together a cupboard? This cupboard's 6 foot, like whatever, beautiful piece of flat pack, and Dan now killed me carrying it round. Anyway, my day started like this. Morning guys, sorry a little bit late today. It's obviously actually 11:30. A few things to take care of, usual bits and pieces. Just about to start on the review, but I'll just say it is up, it is there, it's ready to watch now. This is the one for the spinners, the props. Scroll down. It's up on the site right now, so it talks about doing it. And as we were saying, it's quite nice because I don't know, it's just that thing about showing you more in detail little things. Hopefully you can take that prop, it doesn't matter if you're doing any type of prop, the technique will be exactly the same as you work your way through. So hopefully you pick up a few little ideas. You might even notice now I do things slightly different to the way I used to do things. Certainly things with the wash. Again, it's more sanding. I prefer to sand the wash to give texture to the paintwork and the panel lining than I do to actually do it with a wet cloth. Don't get me wrong, it's still easier with a wet cloth, but sanding it off just gives me a far nicer result. So, as you can imagine, that's up on the site now. I'm going to give you a run around the studio purely because it never ever looks this clean. Look at that. I've actually been round this morning and had a complete tidy up, and I've gone through, we've got rid of boxes and all the other bits, and there we go. So this is all done now. We are all sorted and ready for installation. I'm going to do it tomorrow then. I'm going to try and do 2 reviews today, and we're going to work our way through just like that. But the question that everyone's asking, all right, no one really, just a couple of guys, is this stuff. Okay, now I'm going to try and do this manually with you, but what we have here, the question is using this. Now this is the old micro, the camera locks in. It's Mr. Masking Sol R. Now not to be mistaken with this stuff. Okay, if I try and do my cameraman bit here. This is the 2 different types. You've got the Neo, you know, they both look like the greeny stuff. This one though isn't rubbery. This, the way I describe it, is a standard sort of latex mask. Okay, it's quite rubbery and it rolls up very easy. It's very hard to cut as well because it rolls and everything else. This is the one you see in a lot of the Japanese videos with the guys, and they show you about doing a canopy, then they cut it, peel it and everything else. Yes, you can. I don't think it's any easier. I prefer to mask if I'm honest. But the question was, could you brush it on your model and then literally just overspray it and use it like a liquid mask for doing camo work? And I didn't know. So what I did was, on the Q&A show, I put it down here on this, and to be honest, the weird thing is when you go over this, it feels just like a gloss paint. It's not rubbery at all. It doesn't roll up like on the corners. If you were doing this with the other one, it would just roll away. Okay, this actually doesn't. So what we're going to do, it's been drying on there for a little while now. If I can get my little camera guy just here, all I'm going to do is flip this up so I can see what you can see. I'm just going to take a colour, if I can get this to work, bearing in mind I didn't clean my airbrush properly yesterday. Okay, there we go. Lacquer thinners works every time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a random colour, so it's going to have to be quite dark. So I'm going to use some NATO black, and I'm just going to spray it over the top of this just to see what happens. All right, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to let it dry and then come back to you in a minute. I'll probably do the review in that, and then I'll pop back and do it. So I'm going to do it quickly. So all we're going to do, we've got a little bit of NATO black, Tamiya, neat, not messing around with this in any shape or form. Okay, so we just shift that, we're just going to hit that, we're going to hit this, unlock the needle. Okay, and then we're just going to give this a quick blow over. Right over everything, because I just want to see what's going to happen. Nice thick heavy coat, because again I want to give it the worst possible treatment possible. Dry that back. Okay, we'll do that in a minute. Okay, so there we have it on there, and as you can see, it's drying a lot quicker on the masked area. I don't know how well you can see that. If I just, again, not preparing for this at all. Okay, so we're just going to grab this, let me grab that, we can show you. Okay, if I can get this to lock in. But you see how it's going more flat on it? But there is no reaction. Now, admittedly, this is just acrylic, Tamiya XF69, is it? That's what we used. Okay, so dead simple, sprayed on. So what I'm going to do, to be honest, we're going to leave that for, I don't know, how long's a review? Say an hour tops. Come back with you and I'll unmask it live with you guys and we see exactly what's going to happen. So anyway, next up we're going to do a review and I'm looking for it. What have I done with them? Good question. I've got 2 smart reviews for you. Hopefully I'm going to do both today, and then we're going to look at the oil paints and the various bits and pieces that were sent to me just before we went away. And now I can't find it. Now somewhere in here, the studio, is the kits I'm after. And this is always the way. See how the stash is going down though? And I will do the second part of the sale. I know people have said to me, I've had loads of people saying, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, I am going to do another one, but allow me to get back. Ah, right, I've just seen them. They are over here. So today we will be looking at, no, not a microphone. We're going to be doing those 2. So we've got Captain Phasma and the A-Wing. And to be honest, they turned up absolutely weeks ago, but I just haven't got around to actually reviewing them. So bear with me. I'm going to review those 2 quickly. Then we can come back, we're going to unmask that and see exactly what Mr. Sol R works like. Not heavy, she says. It's alright, just had a delivery of a new cupboard, and to be honest, it weighs an absolute ton. So, just finished a few reviews. To be honest, we've done this guy, her, I should say, fantastic, caped, horrible. And we've done this one, which I must admit, again, fantastic, stunning, brilliant. Got an idea from one day build, but not doing the A-Wing, actually doing the turbo turret, because I reckon that would be really, really nice. Right, okay, so, some of you may remember, we were doing this guy, okay, so, no, this guy even. So what we want to do is find out if it's any good. So if I just... What we're going to do now is try and peel this off. So first thing is, how are we going to peel this off? Because as we know, this stuff, once it's on, is like paint. It doesn't actually come off. So what I'm going to do is try a cocktail stick. Just to get this going. Because my worry is how the hell do you get this off? Because... Okay, it is going. And now we've got it going, we can roll it. Okay, phase 1. It didn't come off too clean because I've had to scratch the hell out of it, that's the trouble. Again, the trouble with this is, it's more like paint. So like now, it's not wanting to roll off, but it will do. Okay. Now in here, let's try something slightly different. Okay, let's try and peel it this time. Okay. So there we go. Actually peels off like that. Now, don't take any notice of any marks you see in this, because you might remember we've drilled holes through it, we've sanded, we filled it, we have done everything on it. Okay, so let's just try these guys. So what I'm doing now really is just trying to perfect a technique for getting this off. And that isn't working. Back up a brush. Used to be the old way. So I'm trying to do it without damaging the surface underneath, and that is our trouble. So I'm thinking what you could do actually is put a tab underneath, because once you get it going, if I show you with a pair of tweezers, you can actually see this comes off really very well. Let's try another way. Now the trouble with using tweezers is obviously you're going to scratch the underlying coat, but you can just peel it off very simply, just like that. But that is my worry, is scratching the undercoat. But as long as you don't mind just perhaps a little nick in your paintwork, you're fine. Now this guy's got a little bubble in it, so I'm Wondering if I can hook it. No. So it's almost finding an edge and then peel it back. And there we go. So, okay, can you use this stuff as technically a mask? Now, sorry, I need a better camera. Me Man Frodo thing's not really working today. This stuff, as you can see, is still very stretchy, okay? And it's great, but trying to get it off isn't the easiest. And the other big thing as well, I used a lot, I don't know if you can see that, look at the camera as well, but I use quite a lot to actually just to paint that area. It's very thin, you have to put down a few coats to get it to go on and all the rest of it. So I don't think it's a particularly cost effective way. A bottle of this I think is around about £6-7 quid. So if you was to be doing perhaps a 1/72 scale Spitfire, not too much of a problem. Anything bigger, you're going to use a bottle in masking fluid to actually do it, when obviously you have got other options and there are other things on the market for doing it. But for a hard edge tear camo, so perhaps if you were thinking like a weathering thing, you know, maybe beginnings of rusting, things like that, you could use this quite sparingly. Chipping effect as well, maybe you can go in. You might remember we've used this stuff for chipping effect. We put it onto a bit of sponge, flick around with it everywhere. The great stuff with using this one though, if you're using it for chipping, it's really easy to get off because it sticks up, it's quite thick, so you can literally flick it with your finger or a back of a brush or something else like that, and you can physically get it off without any problems. This stuff is more akin to paint, so it lays very flat, very smooth. As we said before when putting it on, if you put this both down, this one, the normal Neo, is very rubbery. You can actually grip it, it sticks to your finger and it tears away, okay? This stuff is more like paint. You can't even feel that it's on there, it's so smooth and it dries. So definitely they both have both their merits. They both basically have their own usage. They do roughly the same thing. So it just depends on, do you want to have something that's a little bit more easy to cut, a little bit thinner, okay, or do you want something more traditional of your mask oils? And that's basically, everybody does a mask oil. I think I've got some around somewhere else, but Vallejo do a version, obviously Humbrol do theirs, and everything else. So yes, I've got both. I will continue using both. Would I be using it for painting on, masking and all the rest of it? No, but we know it's safe. Now I've only tried that obviously on a Tamiya acrylic, but I imagine it'll probably be fine with everything. Once it's dry, it'll be impervious to anything, I think, going near it. I can't imagine even lacquers eating it particularly, or anything else like that. But definitely it works. So yeah, there we go. Anyway, there we go, catch up with that one. I'm just about to start editing. I'm going to edit the A-Wing. The A-Wing will be up today. Phasma will probably be up maybe next week. It might even be up tomorrow. I have got all those oils somewhere, wherever they've gone. And I've got some masks. Funny enough, we're talking about masks. I can give you a quick thing. Normally I don't do company endorsements, as you know, but to be honest, these were sent to me, so we're going to have a look at these maybe tomorrow as well, talking about masks. These are pre-cut dye masks. I've even opened one. If I can show you in here, here's a little bit of a look at. Okay, so in here you actually get, what scale is this? Can you even say? 1/48 scale Hurricane. Die cut paper, so this is like your Tamiya tape, giant sheets of it, done pre-cut, so you stick them down and away you go. You get a very nice guide to show you exactly where they go. Hard edge camo is one of those things. I don't particularly like it. Now, why don't I like hard edge camo? Again, it's the scale effect. I prefer to have something slightly softer, and I'll tell you why. I call it the die effect, or the die cast effect, or the mahogany effect. All of those companies use hard edge, and they're hand painted by some Chinese woman somewhere who's doing it probably in a sweatshop. I think if you've got a slightly softer edge, it's more pleasing to the eye, and it makes it look more three-dimensional. This is probably why I'm doing a lot of sanding these days. You might notice I seem to sand everything. It's my new way of doing things. I sand the paint down. Also, it blends things quite nicely, even down to the point of doing this spinner to give it the sort of torn edge look to it and all the bits and pieces. By sanding it, it just slightly softens what would be a hard edge going around on the spinner. So by doing it that way, it really got rid of that sort of issue of it looking a bit fake and a bit too nice. Okay, by giving it that slight imperfection, makes it look a lot more real. Because let's face it, how many times we've all done it? You go up to the real aircraft, the real tank, it looks a mess, okay, and usually quite chunky and bold and everything else like that. Anyway, so there we go. That's it for today. I'll catch you all on the news show. So there we go. As you say, it's one of those days really. Lots of running around, little bits and pieces everywhere. Very, very hectic and got a lot done. Okay, so have to say, beautiful, fantastic, amazing. Go and watch the review, although I forgot to do the first 2 stages because of the paperwork the way it is. Anyway, the kit itself is absolutely stunning, and it's reignited my fire for getting on with the trench run diorama. To be honest, you guys have been here, know it's in a box sat there. I've got all the casting work done, everything's there, I've got the backing for it, all the bits and pieces. I've even got a couple of huge lumps of foam as well. I'm going to try something slightly different. And it's all ready to go. It's just putting it together. So I can see the 1-day build coming along where I'm going to try and do it in a day, get it all together and everything else. And I might try and cast another turbo laser or 2, just perhaps the head turrets for down on the bottom inside the trench, and things like that. So stay tuned. It is coming. I know I keep getting asked by a lot of people, when are you going to do it? It's just at the moment, I'm thinking making it slightly bigger. God help us. But I'm actually thinking maybe we can make it a bit bigger. I've been playing a lot recently with yoga mats. Trust me, it all will come clear. But you can actually make up solid objects that would normally weigh a ton if it was made out of MDF or even in, like, you know, card and stuff like that. But you make it in foam, you can make big objects and carve it, sand it, all the bits and pieces out of foam, and it's really light but looks great, and then we can stick all the bits and pieces to it. So I'm thinking that may be the way to go with that one. So I say I'm still playing with the idea of how we're going to do it. I haven't really done much work with foam before, so it'd be quite interesting to have a go at that. So that'd be a 1-day build coming up within the next couple of weeks. We'll get on with that one. Anyway, so hope that answers the question. Sorry, I can't remember who asked me now. But there we go. Yes, you can mask with Sol. This is the Solar. This is the one we were talking about. It does work exceptionally well, and to be honest, I've had great results with it. But when you're doing masking, sometimes I often think you're overcomplicating the problem. You could just do it with tape. And with flexible and bendy tapes, and also if you wanted something like this, you could always go down the thing of, like, you know, obviously trace it onto a piece of paper, get the shape right, like we very much did the spinner, lay it down, cut round it using a bit of Tamiya tape, things like that, peel it off, put it down and do it that way. Quicker, easier, faster, because you'll wait for this stuff to dry, and it does take a while to dry, than it is to mess around with doing this. And from a cost point of view, as I said, I probably used, I don't know, 20% of a bottle just to do that, so it's not really a cost-effective way of doing it. But yes, if you wanted to, and I think if you're doing the smaller scales, definitely you could use it for masking purposes of putting it down. It's just that I think it's an expensive, long-winded way of doing it, personally, for me anyway. But anyway, Buster got a workout again. One day we're going to retire him. I know we're not going to microwave him or burn him or anything else. It will be dignified. We'll shoot the hell out of him. No, we won't. Anyway, so that's that one. So say quite a busy day catching up the bits and pieces. You can now go off and see the propeller section for the actual 190 build. You know, it's up there now. Sorry it's a little bit late. I tried to get it up last night, but to be honest, I hadn't got the photos and I needed to get them done and cropped and everything else for going up. But that is up there now. You can go off and see that one. I did do Phasma. She is done, and I have edited her. Okay, so she's going to be up with you tomorrow, and then what I'm going to do is roll over the oil thing until I'm actually using them. What I'm going to do is a little bit of an on-test. You remember the old things we used to do with on-test? So what I'm going to do is I've got all the oils, all the bits and pieces from the 50, whatever they're called. Yeah, 501s, is it? Grab them quick. 502s. Now I'm thinking of Levi jeans. Okay, 502. So we got those. So what I'm actually going to do is have a go with these on the actual 190. So we've still got a bit of work to do with that one and everything else like that. But definitely it should be a lot of fun. New techniques, new things to learn, new things to have a go at, find out what works, what doesn't, what's a waste of time, and all the bits and pieces like that. So there we go. That's that. So tomorrow I'm actually going to get a day working on the 190 full on, so that'd be quite nice. So I'm hoping I can start chopping it all up, getting all the bits and pieces sorted, taking out things, doing some test fitting. We can get the cockpit, seeing how that's going to work in there, the engine mounts, things like that, and then it will be ready over the weekend then, and it can go off totally, so we can do sanding, re-riveting and scribing on Monday. Okay, as we work our way through. Tonight I might have a bit of a catch up on the Dolphin, because I've got to catch up with Steve, because remember, me and Steve are live 9 o'clock on Saturday morning to around about midday as normal. So we'll be on live on YouTube, Facebook, and obviously the main site itself, as well as the forum. You want to ask us anything, feel free, drop a question in our little thread, and we'll answer as many as we can get through whilst having a few giggles and trying to put the Dolphin together. So that's about it for me today. Thanks a lot for joining me, and I'll catch you all tomorrow.